wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
And now, please welcome at this time your hosts, Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau. You're listening to the next era of wrestling radio. This is WrestleRant Radio.
Bright and early on a Thursday morning, this is WrestleRant Radio for May 8th, 2025. I am Graham GSM Matthews. I hope you guys are doing well and having an awesome week so far. A lot to get into here today. You see only just myself on screen, but that doesn't mean I'm flying alone. Mr. Marceau is back. He is in transit at the moment. He is joining me here today, as always, to talk all the latest in the world of wrestling. Mr. Marceau, brother, how you doing on this fine Thursday morning?
I'm doing good. You said early. This is like mid-morning, brother.
Well, I say early because it is early for some, just because Daniel Malcolm just sent into the chat, oh, y'all are early today. First of all, we've been this early before, but second of all, I know he's on like Central Time. He's like Chicago time. So for some people, it's like 7, 6 a.m. So it's not like 5 o'clock in the morning, to be fair, but it is early for some than others.
It's working man hours.
It's working man hours. We're going to be putting the work here today as we give our honest analysis of the WWE releases from last Friday, including Braun Strowman, Dakota Kai, and a few others. A lot really aren't that surprising, but we'll get into that momentarily, as well as Backlash predictions for this Saturday in St. Louis. We'll be running down the card, our picks, predictions, and preview for that card coming up on Saturday. New episodes of WrestleRant Radio every single Thursday on WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com. You can also be sure to check out the show every single Thursday here on the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, like the video. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. All the audio of the show goes up a little bit later on in the day on all the usual podcast platforms, so check out the show there as well. iTunes, Spotify, you get the drift. You can also just sign up to become a WrestleRant All Access Pass to get top billing here on this very show. If you got a comment or a question you want us to address first here on the show, if you're in the chat, be sure to let us know. We'll talk about it first here on WrestleRant Radio. But shout out to the channel members, Alexis, Miss Mon Matthews, Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve 1, Daniel Malcolm, Mr. Marceau himself, at RJ_Marceau on the Twitter machine, John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland on YouTube, Richie, Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube, and Average Grunt, at the Average Grunt on X. So with all that being said, we'll get right into it here. The WWE releases from last Friday were kind of a surprising, not all that really surprising. I mean, we tend to get WWE releases, a round of spring cleaning every single year in WWE, and this year was no exception. Coming off of Stephanie McMahon's comment at WrestleMania that WWE is family, they let a lot of family members go last Friday right before SmackDown. So, like I said, some not as surprising as maybe a few others that we'll get into. I do want to shout out real quick, Millennial Noob saying good morning. Good morning to you as well, Millennial Noob, and Johnny said, the early birds catches the worm. That's right. And what would your two's tag team name be? It's a great question. Before we go forward with the releases, Mr. Marceau, I'm going to throw that one to you. What would our tag team name be? We've been doing this for so long now. I don't think I ever really came up with one. But off the top of your head, do you have a good tag team name for us?
Why don't we just go with GSM2RJ, like Y2AJ? Well, the shirt's still in transit. I haven't got the Y2AJ shirt yet, but it'd have to be something like that, I would assume, right?
Hey, listen, I love that. I know we've actually come up with that before. Why stray away from what works? GSM2RJ, RJ2GSM. I love that.
There you go.
Hey, listen, like you said, the shirts are still in transit. I still need my Y2AJ shirt. I hear they're still going to reunite one of these days, maybe in Mud Show Wrestling over in AEW.
I'm still waiting for the shirt. I still haven't got a refund. Pulling out.
Me too. Fanatics, they don't do refunds. Once you order a shirt, you're getting that fucking shirt, whether you like it or not. But speaking of AEW, some of these names could end up in AEW down the road. I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying Tony Khan should be reaching for some of these talents that were released last Friday, but It is possible, depending on the respective futures. But let's get right into it. Mr. Marceau, before I run down this list of names, were you surprised that WWE did some spring cleaning releases right after WrestleMania, or did you kind of expect it at some point, especially with all the recent acquisitions to the roster from AEW, NIL, Evolve? This kind of seemed inevitable at this point.
Yeah, no, I think it's like at this point it's a yearly thing. As you said, they also brought in Alistair, they brought in Rusev. I mean, I'm assuming those weren't cheap contracts. Like you said, they also brought in some NIL, called some people up. I don't know if that's like a contract boost or anything, or like with Roxanne and Julia seemingly being called up to the main roster. I'm assuming there might be a bump in pay. So it doesn't surprise me. I mean, every year we do this, and every year we talk about who got released and what's the next for them. But I mean, I think it's kind of at this point it's a yearly thing. WrestleMania comes, and a few weeks later they'll let someone go, and they improve the bottom line in quarter two.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, you mentioned yearly, but it seems like it might be becoming a quarterly thing. Now, I know when we talked to, when he's not there anymore, but the guy that was in charge of the NIL program and NXT and whatnot, not in charge of NXT, but in charge of the NIL stuff in NXT. When we spoke to him a few years ago in Nashville, he had mentioned that they were doing like kind of check-ins with the roster, or at least the NIL people, maybe every year or two or every 6 months, to kind of see where their progress is at. And if they didn't really feel like they were progressing at the rate that they were hoping for, they would just get rid of them or continue on with them if they were progressing at the rate that they were hoping. And it kind of seems to me that this might become a quarterly thing. You mentioned, the bottom line financially for quarter two. We got releases 3 months ago right after the Royal Rumble, including Sonya Deville. Baron Corbin was let go back in November alongside Indy Hartwell and Tegan Knox. I think February was also when they got rid of AOP and a few other people. So it seems like this might become a quarterly thing. Do you think that's necessary for the roster? But kind of going off of what you just said, it kind of feels like they might need to. With all the new people they bring in so often now, this isn't really a out of the ordinary thing. They might kind of need to make cuts for people they're not using on TV or people they just don't have plans for.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, obviously don't want to see anyone lose their job at the end of the day, but I think with the NXT, kind of like, I feel like NXT and them work more closely now than they ever had, so the call-ups have been kind of more recently, and I feel like the people they are calling up, they're doing something with, so if you're doing something with these people, then you have people that you were not using, and then you kind of get in roster bloat, so they're not running live shows as much as they are anymore, so it's not even like you can put these undercard people or people you're not using on those live events. So they're kind of sitting around. So like I said, I think that maybe that's why it's become a quarterly thing, is they don't have as many events to use them if they're not on TV. What are you really using for them at the end of the day? So they just get rid of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. We're not having as many house shows and many live events as we once did. It's really just the TVs, and if you're not on TV, then you might become more expendable if you're not currently being used in a storyline, or if they don't foresee a spot for you in a storyline in the foreseeable future. Daniel did say, wow, we really got a tag team name before we got Love Ziggler name and GTA 6. You're right, Daniel. You are getting a WrestleRant nickname here, a tag team nickname for myself and Mr. Marceau before GTA 6, which I saw they dropped the trailer for just last week. So I think that's coming out, next year. But anyway, so the first name on this list that was released from WWE, that probably surprised me than any other name on this list that we'll get into. And I will just tell you right now, I mean, we went over this over text last Friday, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, WWE, they're such an evil company. They might be for other reasons, but honestly, for the amount of people they released, a lot of these people weren't too shocking. And I'm not saying I'm advocating for anyone to be out of a job, like Mr. Marceau said, but at the same time, a lot of these people I just did not foresee a future for on the main roster, and I can kind of understand why WWE had cut ties. So this isn't going to be a rant like, oh man, they didn't see the potential in so-and-so. Some of these names, maybe just a very few of them, but a majority of them, we probably won't have a lot to say of. But we will mention this first one, Braun Strowman. He was the first name to be cut on Friday right before SmackDown, who is a SmackDown superstar, actually, so that's why it kind of surprised me they cut him right before the show. He probably wasn't there, I would imagine. They probably knew ahead of time they were cutting him, so they probably didn't fly him out to the show. But it's not like he wasn't on TV. Braun was just on SmackDown 2 weeks before he got fired. He was on the pre-WrestleMania SmackDown in Vegas in a tag team match alongside LA Knight against Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. And I mentioned this on Twitter. this one bummed me out the most. I know the guy's 41. I know his mobility is limited. He's obviously closer to the end of his career than the beginning. And honestly, I wasn't really someone when he got fired the first time that I cared all that much. It surprised me the first time because in the same way, he was being used in more main events, the World Championship picture. He had been around for a lot longer at that point. But at that point, creatively, he was damaged goods. In WWE this time around, I mean, you can go back and find the clip from when we spoke a few years ago, but I don't think either of us really hoped that he would be used in a main event position. I think we kind of hoped that he would be brought in to help elevate other people, and that's exactly what he did. I mean, I mentioned this to you over text when he got fired on Friday, but you know, he was over. He had some really fun feuds and some fun matches. I'm not going to sit here and say he was the greatest in-ring performer on the fucking roster, but he was in there having some quality matches with Bronson Reed, Gunther, Jacob Fatu, among other people on TV. And like I mentioned, he was an over guy, which is kind of hard to come by nowadays. They bring in so many new people that aren't over or returning people that aren't over yet. But Braun was a guy that a lot of these people could work with and get over. So that's why I was kind of sad that not sad. I wasn't sitting here crying, but I was disappointed that he got let go. Do you share those same sentiments, Mr. Marceau? I know you were also a big Braun Strowman fan once upon a time. Do you kind of feel like this was a bit of a shocking release? And not that there was more that they could have done with him, but my bigger thing was that I feel like they could have had a Big Show Kane type guy in the roster that fits that role, and then he was just kind of let go out of nowhere.
I do, but I don't. I mean, I think, like you said, I think he did come in and help put some people over. Bronson Reed, Jacob Fatu, just to name a few. But, I mean, realistically, in-ring wise, I mean, his knees are shot.
Sure.
He can barely walk at this point. Like you said, he is 41 years old. Hey, he got his last big pay run, like they used to say, like in the territories. He got his last big run in the territory. And then, I mean, maybe they just move on, and maybe they see Rusev down the line being like a Braun Strowman, someone who people know and they can put other people over. But I like Strowman, but I think he like you said, he did what he needed. Like they used him the way we thought they would use him, like pretty much mid card, put people over, which he did. But I mean, at the end of the day, you mentioned he's 41 years old. His mobility's pretty much gone at this point. Besides, I mean, the people he needed to put over are put over. At this point, I don't really, like, who else do you even put him against? I think it's one of those cases that he kind of did what he needed to do. He was there for a few years, made probably really good money, and they just move on.
Yeah, I mean, they probably look at the books. I mean, going back to what we were saying before, they probably look at the books and say to themselves, hey, who are we not using? Who do we not intend to use? Who are we paying too much? And honestly, like, I saw that report, and I would take a lot of the reports that are coming out about these releases from, Dave Meltzer. But when Dave Meltzer reports on this stuff, first of all, Dave is, irresponsible with a lot of reporting news, and he's wrong on a lot of stuff. But I will say the stuff that came out from him about the releases, although he probably shouldn't have reported it the way that he did, because a lot of it just sounded like bullshit. I will say it was stuff that the company definitely fed to him, or someone within the company fed to him. So I think a lot of the information on those releases just sounds just flat out inaccurate. I mean, he was saying that some people were let go due to their age, which is just so fucking dumb when you look at the roster, and nothing against it. But a lot of the people towards the top of the card and in the main event scene are like 40. They're like late 30s, early 40s, so the age thing doesn't really make sense. Maybe injury prone. I mean, I had seen that excuse for Braun and the next person I'll bring up in a moment. But a lot of the other people that are on the roster are also injury prone. I mean, Sheamus is injury prone among other people, and Sheamus is more valuable than Braun. I get that. But, still, I don't really buy that excuse. But one of the other excuses was that Braun, they felt, was being too overpaid. And I thought I was getting deja vu because I remember seeing that exact same report when he was fired back in 2021. They had said that he was being too overpaid at that point. Now, that I could believe, because back in 2021, they weren't doing shit with this guy. He was facing fucking Shane McMahon at WrestleMania, and they were probably paying him $1 million+, honestly. But when they brought him back about a year and a half later, don't you think they probably would have paid him what they thought they would be using him for, which was a mid-card run, which is exactly what he ended up doing in WWE? I just can't say I buy that excuse that they were overpaying him when he ended up being on TV a whole bunch and being used probably in the way that they envisioned when they brought him back in 2022, like I said.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends, like you said. I mean, overpay. It's just, like you said, I feel like obviously with a business, they're obviously going to overlook all the numbers and everything. So, like, they're saying overpay. Your thought is, like, he probably is at the end of the day, he's probably not getting like super overpaid. But like once he was putting over guys like Fatu and Reed, who they see them, then like technically you'd be overpaid, I guess. Like I assume he'd probably get paid more than them. So like if they're eventually going to give these people who they're pushing raises and stuff, the money's got to come somewhere. So I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's like, it's not like they can't afford it. It's like when people say overpaid, I think people think of me like, oh, they're saying they can't afford to pay him. They can afford to pay him. Me, you, and everyone in this world, basically. But I think it's more the fact that they think that for what he's doing, that he's overpaid, and if they're gonna, whatever, they probably have a budget of how much they want to spend, so they're gonna give other people that are pushing more money than they had. The money would have to come from somewhere.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
they just notify him as overpaid, so we're gonna get rid of him.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I completely agree with that. I mean, I can kind of see that excuse 4 years ago when he was cut the first time because, one, they weren't doing a whole lot with him, and two, that was during COVID, and they were letting go of a lot of talent at that point, and they called it budget cuts. If they call up these people, and it's not really our business because I'm not the one getting fired here from WWE, but if they call these people up and say, hey, budget cuts, pal, I mean, that's just completely fucking false. I mean, just be honest. You're not going to call these people up and say, hey, we don't see a future for you. You suck, or like you're expendable, whatever. I get that. But assumingly, if they told these people budget cuts, that's just fucking flat out false. When they're out there on these PLEs saying, oh yeah, we broke the all-time gate record and we're making so much money and we're more profitable than ever before, that's just bullshit. So I would hope they're not telling them that. But at the same time,
but you had to realize they're a company, Graham. They could be making so much money. If they have a set budget, regardless if they're making way more money, they're going to still stick to that budget.
No, that is true. That is true. I will give you that. But I will say this.
Why do you think they have so much money?
No, I get that. They can definitely, obviously they can't pay everyone $1 million. I totally understand that. But it is unfortunate. I mean, you must have seen a couple of weeks ago during Mania weekend, which was the last time that Braun was around in WWE, which was only a few short weeks ago. His not lasting legacy, but one of the last times that we'll hear of Braun on WWE TV before he inevitably comes back, and I'm sure he will, for a Rumble return, one more short return, whatever it might be. But over WrestleMania weekend, Paul Heyman was, I think, on the Pat McAfee show, right? I think a WWE World, and he mentioned, and he was in character, I get it, but he was like, Braun wasn't at WrestleMania and he was crying about it, and Heyman just told him it's because you suck. I mean, that was the last time that we heard Braun's name on WWE TV, and then they fucking fire the guy less than 2 weeks later. That must sting.
It's funny, but yeah.
Shout out to Fernando in the chat saying, good morning, WrestleRant. What's going on, dude? He also said they were bragging about, I just mentioned this as well, but he had mentioned they were bragging about record profits around Mania weekend, and now all of a sudden they can't afford to pay certain people. No, it's not that they can't afford them, to be clear. They never said that. If they're telling them budget cuts, that is bullshit. But I think it's more so, like, we just kind of explained. They look at the books and see who they're paying what, and are we going to do anything with Braun? No? Okay, let's get rid of him. I can't see I agree with that.
Like I said, I think it's one of those things that, like, they have a set budget. So if it's $200 million, I'm just throwing a number out there.
Yeah.
And then they're at the budget. They're at $200 million talent, regardless of how much money they're making. They have a set budget. We're only spending this amount of money on talent. And like I said, if they're calling these people up or bringing more people in, guess what? You're going to get closer to that budget. And like I said, I don't know if, like, you go from the NXT to the main roster, they give you a lot of extra money. I'd assume they would. So then, like you said, then they're like, okay, we're bringing these people up. We're already out of our budget. We don't want to spend any more money, so we're going to get rid of people. Who are we not using, and who are we spending too much, in quotations, too much money on?
Yeah.
And then that's how they figure it out.
Yeah, I think also including, going off of what you just said, I think they reportedly increased the downside for if you're a main roster performer, you're making at least $350,000, $300,000, something along those lines. So, I mean, you're paying, Braun, I think, they're not paying Braun $300,000. They're definitely paying him $5 million.
No, he's probably making $1 million.
Yeah, close to $1 million. So, I mean, he's not making that little. But for people like that we'll get to, Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, people that have not been on the show really at all, I'm not saying they should have been fired, obviously, but I could see why they were like, yeah, we'll probably just part ways here. We're not really doing anything. We could save $600,000, $700,000 if we let go of this tag team in a division that we don't give a fuck about, that we'll get to. Dillon mentioned in the chat a little bit earlier on, he said, These round of releases aren't that surprising. We agree. He also said Cora Jade might be starting an OnlyFans with the eye emoji. I mean, that's probably less surprising than the releases themselves, but we'll get to Cora Jade in a little bit. Thank you, Dillon, for the chat. Maria also said, my only main issue is that they released a half of the women's roster, and the only female writer in the creative team signed Alberto Del Rio. No, first of all, do not sign Alberto Del Rio. I know that you're not advocating for that. I know you're saying that they got rid of a lot of women, and they're signing Del Rio. They're not signing. I mean, they did sign Del Rio, but that was more so part of the AAA acquisition, as opposed to like, oh yeah, Del Rio's on the free agent market, let's sign Del Rio. They're not mutually exclusive. And they didn't fire half of the women's roster. I mean, to be fair, they have a lot of women. Like, if you include NXT, they have a lot of women.
I was saying that narrative was going around. I'm like, it's not even close.
No, it was barely a drop in the bucket to release the women that they did. And could you argue that they released half of the women's tag team division? Yes, they definitely did.
Yes.
Definitely.
And they should have.
Well, they should have. Okay, well, we'll get into that. And I'm not saying they should have necessarily, but if they don't give a fuck about this division, then maybe they should just disband it and move on. We still have the titles. They got rid of the division, but we still have champions for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Yeah, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But we'll get into it. Millennial Noob said, well, that was dumb coming from Paul Heyman. Please don't let Braun Strowman reunite with EC3 for control your narrative nonsense. In the NWA, that'll be even dumber. Are you controlling your narrative right now, Mr. Marceau?
I am.
How can you not be? Micah said, are we live? Yes, we are live, Micah. Thanks for joining. He also said, on an unrelated note, I think we should give Karrion Kross Money in the Bank this year. Do you agree with that? Are you buying in the Karrion Kross hype right now, Mr. Marceau, or not so much?
I am not.
He's not? Okay, so no Mr. Money in the Bank for Karrion Kross, according to Mr. Marceau. Dillon had said, I feel WWE should be more transparent with their reasons for releasing talent. Also, they need to stop doing releases after Mania when they brag about how hot the business is and shoving sponsors down our throats. But like Mr. Marceau said, look, I agree. I think them going on the show and bragging about how hot the business is and how much money they're making, only to release talent, is kind of gross. But I mean, they do have a set budget, like Mr. Marceau said, so I can understand it. When they're letting go of top talent that should not be letting go of, or newer talent that have potential, like when they got rid of Swerve Strickland, Keith Lee, Karrion Kross under the Vince McMahon regime a few years ago, that was fucking bullshit. And they were probably saving money there, but those were people that should not have been let go. A lot of these people were never really on the show, or they were NXT people that were never going to be on Raw or SmackDown if they got called up. So we'll get to those people in a second. And yes, Daniel, I did see that Kross is third in merch right now, probably for the week. I don't think like for the year, obviously, but that is pretty cool. Karrion Kross is the hot hand as far as the merchandise goes at the moment. Hopefully that reflects on TV eventually. But Dakota Kai, Mr. Marceau, was another name that was let go this past week. This one, not as surprising, but still surprising. But Dakota Kai was on TV fairly consistently when she wasn't her, and that was kind of the reason going around as to why she was let go. Injury prone. I mean, that's the excuse I don't really buy myself personally. I mean, everyone's injury prone. I mean, I know some people get more injuries than others. I get that. But, I mean, they put these people on the fucking show 365 days out of the year. They're bound to get hurt. So I don't really buy that bullshit. But Dakota Kai was getting more of an opportunity to show what she could do on her own as a singles performer. She was a perfect fit in that Women's Intercontinental Championship picture. Are they losing a massive star in Dakota Kai? No, I mean, she's been back now for a few years, but at the same time, Dakota Kai, I think, was the first person Triple H brought back when he took over a few years ago. So for her to get let go after being on TV so much in the last few years is kind of surprising. So what was your reaction to that release of Dakota Kai?
I mean, I would say, I thought this was, not that I was like surprised by anyone. I think this one, for me, I felt like it was more surprising than Braun, honestly. I feel like it was surprising, but at the end of the day, it was. I mean, they had, it's not like you can't say they didn't try. Like, she was heel, she was damage control, and that kind of ran its course. Then she got hurt, then she came back, and then she was doing like this babyface thing. It just seemed like she never connected with the crowd, and I mean, I probably wouldn't let her go. Like you said, I don't see her as like a main event phenom, but I do think she could have been, like you said, like good in the IC United States title, a veteran that they like kind of use, and like a good hand in the ring. I guess she eventually could become an Natalia at that point, but I don't know. I mean, I would say probably out of all of them, this is one of the most surprising one for me. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think she's expendable. But I think just because they've focused on her a little bit more. Like I said, she had like the heel run, babyface. She got like new music. She went for the IC title recently a few times, lost every time, so it's not like it really mattered.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know she has had some knee injuries, a good amount of knee injuries. Obviously, that's not ideal. Those are like longer injuries. Those are like year-long recovery injuries. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer. I mean, like I said, she was just on the show, and like you said, that was the other part of, I mean, again, this business is unpredictable, so I get it. But that was the other thing I was thinking about the other day. Like, they just gave her new music, and like, she just turned babyface. Like, how long have we been seeing on the show, Mr. Marceau? They gotta have Dakota Kai go back to being a babyface, because she was a great babyface in NXT, and she's been a really good heel, but she's a natural babyface. And when they finally start to showcase her in that light, I mean, like Fernando said here in the chat, she was in the finals of the Women's Intercontinental title picture. And yeah, she got a rematch with Lyra, and she lost. And again, you're probably thinking...
Lost to Ivy.
Lost to Ivy as well, you're right. They're probably thinking, what more can we do with her? Brian Alvarez brought up, and he's not necessarily wrong. Like, they probably looked at Dakota and said, okay, damage control isn't really a thing anymore. Kairi, I think, is out hurt right now. Asuka's out hurt right now. She'll hopefully be back soon. Same thing with Kairi. But if they don't give a fuck about these tag team titles, which they don't, which we'll get into a little bit more in a second, if you care about them, then keep these women around. If you don't care about these belts, then I can understand getting rid of some of these women. But with Dakota Kai, it was more about than just the tag titles. I feel like if they really want to make these mid-card belts mean something, pushing a woman like Dakota Kai, I feel like is the way to go. And she's good, and she was getting a little bit more over. I don't know. That one doesn't really make sense to me. And it's not really an age thing either. She was 38, 37. Dude, they have fucking like Charlotte and Becky are 38, 39. They're bigger stars, I get that. They're obviously bigger stars.
Yeah, but you're talking about stars, GSM.
No, I know, but it's, I mean, again, if you use the excuse...
age doesn't matter if it's a bona fide star.
No, I know, but I don't think age should matter anyway. It's not like she was 45. I mean, they have men on the roster that are 42, 43.
I understand that, but like when you're calling up girls that are a lot younger, you're going to obviously focus in, not to like just drag, but like also with Dakota, well, I do like Dakota. So it's not like I'm like shitting on her, but like she also has been around for a long time. Like she's been face, she's been heel, she's been face, she's been heel. Like they turn her face and the crowd like didn't really give a shit. Like she didn't win either. That didn't help, obviously. But like I don't know. Like I remember that match was Ivy Nile. They could shoot deer in the balcony. I mean, no one cared.
True.
I mean, so at the end of the day, she has been around for a while. They turned her face again. No one really cared. Like you said, if they're not going to do the tag division, that's where they probably see her going. They just like, you know what? We've done a lot. It doesn't really seem like it's really connecting. We have these younger women we're going to push and have obviously their fresher faces, and people usually connect better with fresher faces, and not that she was damaged goods, but people that have been around and lost a lot and really haven't done a lot. So you move on.
Yeah, no, I can understand it to a certain degree. It's not like Dakota Kai, they were getting rid of a Rhea Ripley or, you know, someone that was on the rise like an Io Sky or something like that. I can understand it to a certain degree.
I'm pretty sure like Bianca's higher in age. Not going to get rid of her.
No, of course. I'm just saying that for someone that can go as well as she can work with like the Roxannes and the Julias and the people they're bringing up. I'm not saying it's like the biggest loss in the world, but for them, I mean, this poor woman got fired twice. It was her birthday yesterday. That must suck. But I'm sure she'll do well with wherever she goes next. She was never going to be like the main women's champion in WWE. I think that was evident. But I think it was just especially disappointing now that they have mid-card belts. If Zelina Vega, who I do like, and I'm glad she's the Women's United States champion, we kind of gave her the golf clap last week. If they can give Zelina Vega the Women's United States championship, there's no reason why they could have given that championship to a Dakota Kai at some point down the road, but just wasn't meant to be. Daniel had a good question here. He had mentioned, do you think Liv Morgan would have been on the list of releases had it not been for her career resurgence last year? That's a very good question. Do you think she would have made the list, or do you think she was going to be safe regardless?
No, I think she'd be safe regardless. I think she's kind of like in that Alexa Bliss territory at that point. Obviously now I think she's obviously at a higher level than that.
Yeah.
But I would say like former champ, she was, I mean, even before she like really shot off, I feel like she still was very popular. Like I said, before she really had like the big resurgence, I still think people really liked her, and she was starting to like obviously become like where she is now. But I still think she was over enough that they wouldn't have moved on from her.
Yeah, she wasn't
she's still fairly young. She's also still fairly young too. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think they would have kept her.
Yeah, no, I think she's been. I mean, she was at a certain level before the push last year, like you said, where she was still moving merchandise and she was still over. As a babyface, she had kind of hit her ceiling. She kind of had to turn heel, and that obviously was this great career resurgence, like Daniel said. So I don't think she would have been fired necessarily. I think if she was going to get cut, she probably would have been cut years ago with like the Sarah Logans and the Ruby Riots and people like that. She probably would have been gone a while ago. They obviously had seen something in her for a long time, and understandably so. She has her audience, kind of like Alexa Bliss does, like you mentioned. Alexis also joining, saying, good morning, y'all. I've been here but busy. Sending in the $2 super chat. Thank you, Alexis. Always appreciated. And Fernando had said the U.S. and IC women's titles needed some established talent to challenge for those titles. I agree. I mean, they had Dakota Kai go for those titles, or the IC one, and she lost twice. So, I mean, again, like RJ said, I don't agree with the decision to let her go at all. But again, they probably said, okay, we already had her creatively do the IC title thing. That title's kind of currently occupied by Becky and Lyra, so we're not going to put her back in that title picture right now. No other plans. Damage control is basically done. We'll just get rid of her. I don't agree with it, but maybe that was their logic. The injury-prone thing and the age thing I don't really agree with a lot of these people, but otherwise I can understand it. But let's get to the rest of this list here now, Mr. Marceau. And a lot of these I don't really have.
Yeah, let's start whacking these things down. Jesus.
I'm not going to spend 10 minutes on each. Those were the two biggest ones. I just want to get those out of the way. But I'll just group some of these together. Shayna Baszler, Katana Chance, Kaden Carter. All glorified tag team women. Shayna Baszler could have been bigger years ago, but it's 2025. If they didn't push her years ago, they were never going to push her. The peak of her run came 5 years ago when she first got called up. And then she beat Ronda at SummerSlam when we were there. No one gave a shit.
Awful match, by the way.
Match wasn't great. I thought it was a well-worked match, but no one gave a shit. And they never even properly capitalized on that either. It's not like they turned her face or they pushed her after that. She went right into the tag team division with Zoe Stark, who was still on the roster, by the way. Shayna they got rid of. That one I think you could see coming from a mile away.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I saw her name on the list, honestly, once Sonya got released, I assumed that Shayna had her days numbered. I probably would have kept Sonya a little bit longer than I would have probably swapped the two and maybe give Sonya a longer leash. But yeah, I mean, I was honestly more surprised when I saw Shayna on the list that Zoe wasn't on the list as well. But clearly they probably see some kind of singles potential, which I don't blame them. But I was a little surprised when I saw Shayna on here that Zoe wasn't attached.
I was surprised too, but I mean, at the very least, they did call up Zoe a lot later than Shayna. Like, she's newer to the roster. Maybe they're giving her, like you said about Sonya, like a longer leash, and maybe she could work in the mid-card title division. She's not great personality-wise, but she is a very good worker, so I would like to see her get some more longevity in that regard.
No, definitely. I think, like you said, maybe they let her see what she can do. If it doesn't work out, Q3 is coming soon, and they can move on.
We'll reevaluate then. Chance and
we'll
Carter.
We'll reevaluate at Q3.
Well, yeah, we'll reevaluate in Q3. Chance and Carter, I mean, let's just be brutally honest here. I think they're a great tag team. I think they're very, very talented. But this company has never, and we've said this how many times, does not give a fuck about women's tag team wrestling. And if they don't give a fuck about women's tag team wrestling, which is why they have not been on the show in, I don't know, a fucking year since they lost the belts, was anyone truly shocked by this? I mean, where else could they go but NXT? And you're not going to pay the main roster money to go back to developmental where they spent 5 years anyway. I mean, this was hardly a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're saying the company doesn't care. I don't think the fans care as well. I think it's a mutual hatred of the tag team women's division. I mean, I think the only really good women's tag team matches we've seen are like the top stars that are involved in these matches. I mean, I like Carter and Chance, but at the end of the day, like you said, that they're a good team, but that no one cares, and if they're going to get rid of the division, you kind of have to get rid of them.
Well, if they're getting rid, that's the thing. I don't think they're getting rid of the division. I think they're going to have the fucking belts, and then they're not going to have any teams to fight for them. I mean, Liv Morgan's going to come back from her movie thing, and she's going to have a title that no one gives a fuck about. But to go back to what you said a moment ago, I don't think it's entirely fair to say the fans don't care. They don't. You're right. I'm not denying that. But I'm saying that, do you think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in the sense that they don't care because the company doesn't care, and the fans might care more if they actually put more effort into the women's tag team division?
I think it depends on the person. I mean, people were bitching and moaning about the U.S. title and Intercontinental title, how it was being built. But I mean, I think the people care about Chelsea and Lyra respectfully before.
Okay.
Obviously, Lyra's doing what she's doing now. But I mean, I think people are like, oh, they're not booking them right. But I mean, I would say they both were like seemingly getting over, and like people still cared about them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, the reign wasn't great, but like with the tag belts, like the reign sucks and no one cares about the people anyways. Like when Chance and Carter come out, no one even like. They come out for the Rumble, no idea who it was. Because they didn't have, like, the fucking the smoke stick things that they use.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know who this is.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. Like, unfortunately, like, yeah, they're a good team, but like I said, no one, like, their music hits, you don't know who it is. And I'm a fucking weekly watcher, and I didn't know who it was. I mean, like, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair as well, in their case, again, I think if they really put more effort into the tag team division and created more stories with that, which they're just not going to, I've kind of, accepted that a long time ago. But they had more of a ceiling, too. I mean, could you have seen either one of these women being pushed? And even the mid-card title scene, I think Katana Chance had some potential, but, like, beyond the tag team title stuff, they clearly had a ceiling in WWE.
I think tag team was their ceiling for both of them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Gigi Dolan and Shotzi were another team. They were teaming with Tatum Paxley in NXT. 2/3 of that group are gone. The timing is weird because they were actually getting over with that trio in NXT. Shotzi, unless they were going to bring that group to the main roster, they were paying her main roster money to work NXT. So again, not entirely surprising. But Shotzi's been there for so long. I like Shotzi. She just never really clicked on the main roster. We got to call a spade here. So, I mean, her getting cut isn't entirely shocking. I'm kind of surprised it took this long. And Gigi Dolan, she's been there. She's been in developmental for 4 years now. She's like Billy Madison when he's sitting in kindergarten, like, the older guy in like the kindergarten class. That was Gigi Dolan at the PC for the last couple of years. I mean, she's very good. I like Gigi Dolan, and she obviously had potential. But again, if they didn't plan to use these women on the main roster, even in a singles role, they just probably saw fit to get rid of them instead.
I honestly didn't even know Shotzi got released in this, but not surprised. I didn't see her name. I could have sworn I didn't.
It was Saturday. She got cut Saturday. That's why, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, like you said, I mean, never was a huge fan of hers at NXT anyway. She got called up, lost a ton, come back down to NXT. I mean, I feel like once you go to the main roster, go back down to NXT, usually your days are pretty numbered at that point. And then with Gigi Dolan, she's been there for a while. I feel like she was like good, and then she kind of regressed. And ever since the whole, what the fuck was it called?
Oh, Toxic Attraction, right?
Yeah, ever since Toxic Attraction's been a nosedive down. Same with JC Jane. I'm surprised she didn't get released. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I think at the end of the day, which people don't get, like, if they don't see a future with them on the main roster, why keep putting resources into them if you can then go to newer people you think they might have this better potential, and then you put all the money, like, you gotta focus. It's a developmental at the end of the day. She's still, like you said, it's been like 5 years. Like, at this point, it's like shit or get off the pot. Like, she's not going to the main roster. You gotta get rid of her. So, I mean,
yeah. I mean, this one was definitely more surprising, but do you think it was a similar story with Cora Jade? I mean, she had, when I say more potential, she did have more potential on her own. She wasn't a tag team wrestler like Gigi was for most of her NXT run, but Cora Jade was on her own. She never won a championship, but I said this before in the last few days, and I feel bad, but it's true. I think as soon as they signed Jordan Grace, Zarya, Julia, Stephanie Vacquier, among other women to NXT and the NIL women as well, her goose was cooked. I feel like she would have been on Raw right now with Roxanne had they not hired these other women that were better than she is. And she was another one that may have regressed in the ring a little bit, coming back from her injuries and whatnot. She was still good, and she was still like over and established. But again, I feel like they saw her being in NXT for 4 years, and we're not going to call her up unless they had a plan. They had no plan, so they got rid of her. She is young enough, though, where I could see her coming back down the road. I will say that.
Well, she's too busy making her OnlyFans account with Mandy Rose, so I don't know if she'll ever come back. But yeah, no, this one didn't surprise me, honestly. I mean, people were like acting like she was the next Mildred Burke, for Christ's sakes, on Twitter, freaking out. Like, how could you get rid of her? She's great. Yes, people, I know she's attractive, but there's plenty of women that are a lot better in ring wise than she was. She's been in NXT forever. She's coming off the knee injury, like Dakota. I mean, those injuries aren't easy, and like you said, I feel like she has regressed in the ring a little bit. And if you put all the women they just signed, and there's other women in NXT that you didn't just name, who I'd also see like a brighter future with. I mean, once Roxanne got called up and is with Julia instead of her, I feel like maybe she kind of figured him like my days are probably pretty numbered. But I mean, I'm not overly surprised that she got released.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't apply to her, but Maria asked, why resign some of these people just to release them again? I mean, the only person the only people they re-signed to release again were Braun and Dakota, who we already talked about. But it's not like they just re-signed them a year ago. I mean, Braun and Dakota have been there since 2022. I mean, they were there. I'm not saying I hate when they release people.
Dakota came back on
At SummerSlam,
was she
right?
there? Yeah, when we were there. Yeah, so it's been a while. I mean, at least with like Dakota, it's like, I mean, she was in WrestleMania matches. Not like she was in that Damage Control like 6-man. I'm pretty sure they had one of those somewhere down the line. Obviously, like they turned her face and heel. She got hurt a few times. But Strowman, like realistically, at his age and where we saw, like his run was literally exactly what we said it should have been in 2022. Like mid card, put younger people over. Obviously, we didn't know at the time. I wish we could run it back and like say like who we thought he'd put over and see like where they are now. But I mean, he put over Bronson Reed. He put over Fatu. Like, at this point, he like said, I don't really know what else you're going to do with him. I mean, unless they have this other big giant they want to put over in the next 6 months. But, I mean, they're making great money, too. So it's not like you said, it's not like it was they signed him 6 months ago and let him go. It's been 3 years. So it's like, I mean, and like you said, they're not working as much as they used to either. So it's like, it's not like they're like busting their ass 360. You mentioned 365. I mean, you can only imagine how many dates they actually work now and like actually working. Like, yeah, there's Raws and SmackDowns, but how many times these people actually wrestling throughout the year now? So it's unfortunate, but I think these two had like a good run. Obviously, Dakota probably had a little bit more of a future, but Strowman, I mean, this is probably the best case scenario with his age and his mobility.
Yeah, I'm curious how long they signed him for in 2022. I mean, he was brought back 3 years ago. Did they sign him to a 3-year deal and they just cut him like 6 months early, or did they sign him for a 5-year deal? I mean, it sounds like they're signing more people to shorter term deals, which is smart. Like Miro or Rusev coming in for a 2-year deal. He made the mistake in AEW of signing for 5 years, and then he was in fucking prison for half of that time. So, I mean, it's probably better that they sign shorter deals, but it's a company.
We also forgot they brought in Penta and Phoenix. Now that you brought it up, so then they brought in these other people too. Where's the money coming from?
Yeah, no, that's what I said. Yeah, Penta, Phoenix, Ricky
We didn't
Saints.
bring them up earlier. We were talking about Black and Rusev earlier. I forgot about Penta and Phoenix.
Yeah, and Ricky Saints.
And Grande Americano.
Of course.
Come on, what do you think they're?
Yeah.
That's a big signing.
New speed champion, actually, by the way.
Okay, who gives a shit?
Eddie Thorpe and Gallus were also on the list. Your favorite Gallus and Eddie Thorpe. Not funny. Not even surprising, but they were on the NXT show that we were at in December. Gallus, I think, had their last TV match. I know they were on Evolve recently, but they were on NXT the last time. Then when we were there in Lowell, Mass, back in December, challenging unsuccessfully for the NXT Tag Team titles. They've been around forever. I mean, they were on NXT UK. They were on NXT. Unless you were going to bring them up with like Drew or something to do like a Scottish stable, they were never really going to go anywhere. I like them as a team, but they were as usually dull as dishwater most of the time. And then Eddie Thorpe, I think he's a good wrestler, but he never really clicked for me as a main event guy. I know he didn't for you either. They tried. He got good heat, but beyond the feud with Trick and the Obafemi stuff, they probably saw that he hit a ceiling. The only thing I don't like about that is that he was like the only Native American guy on the roster. That representation, they don't have a whole lot of representation right now. They've got to improve on that front. But beyond that, I mean, you're not going to just keep him around solely for that if they didn't have a future for him on NXT or the main roster. So your thoughts on Eddie Thorpe and Gallus being let go?
I always liked Gallus. I don't know why. They weren't really that good. But I also was like really big in the NXT UK at one point, and like they were like Joe Coffey was like push the moon and would lose every match that mattered.
I remember
like
that.
Braun Strowman and fucking of NXT UK would be pushed for the title 1,000 times and lose every time. But I always liked them for some reason. I don't know why. And like you said, they weren't like really entertaining or anything like great. But I don't know. Just like maybe it was the green. Maybe they got me with like the green background lighting. And
okay. They had a great theme. I like the Gallus theme too.
They did have a good theme too. But I mean, I'm sad for the Coffees and obviously Wolfgang. Don't forget Wolfgang.
Of course, Wolfgang too. Yeah.
But I mean, they've been there so long. Like you said, it's been almost probably 10 years at this point that they're still down in NXT. So not surprising there. With Eddie Thorpe, like you said, never was a huge fan. He did get good heat, I guess, but I mean, as a wrestler himself, like he was good, but like you said, at the end of the day, they don't see him anything on the main roster. Pack the bags.
Yeah, probably not. Daniel brought up a good point, actually. He said he thought the final boss would have saved Gallus after they got him ready for WrestleMania 40, because Rock posted a picture with Gallus when they got him ready, like in-ring ready and shit, and I guess The Rock said, hey, fuck it, I don't give a... The Rock doesn't pay attention to these releases. He says, I don't give a fuck, get rid of Gallus. He's making the calls, actually. It's not Triple H.
Yeah, he made the pivot. Hey, he had to pivot away. So, fellas, it just doesn't work for us anymore, brother.
It doesn't work for us, brother. The writing was on the Raw. The writing was on the Raw wall, rather. Jesus, hard for me to say. With Metaphor. So they broke up last Tuesday on NXT in a backstage segment. Noam Dar just came back. The fact that he's still been around for a decade is shocking to me. I mean, the guy's a good wrestler, but does anyone honestly give a fuck about Noam Dar at this point? And the answer is probably no.
I do.
He's the new Heritage Cup champion, so I guess there's that. But they kept him. They kept Lash Legend, but they got rid of Jakara. Jakara Jackson and Ora Mensa are no more. I mean, again, not entirely surprising. Jackson improved. They will give her that, but they have so many women that are better than her on her own that they didn't really need her on the roster. And Ora Mensa has been there forever, dating back to NXT UK. He was exclusive, really, pretty much to Evolve at that point. Again, another guy they just didn't see a future for.
I mean, Mensa, he was fine, but not earth-shattering. Jakara Jackson that was another one I saw like ton of outrage. I mean, these people watch the show. I mean, I think she's decent, but like I said, people are acting like she was like the next coming. I mean, she was fine, but I mean, if you're gonna, I just also want where's the support when they're like actually wrestling? I feel like wrestling fans come flying out of the woodworks when people get released. Like, oh, I was a huge fan of theirs. I'm like, where were you when they would come out and no one would hear a fucking peep? But now all of a sudden Jakara Jackson's like the next coming, and people are like, oh, I can't believe they let her go. I'm like, what do you mean? If they're gonna break up the group, Lash Legend clearly out of all four of them has the most potential, so they're not gonna get rid of her. Noam Dar, like you said, at this point, he's a veteran. I think he's fine. At this point, he's just grown on me. I missed the Supernova, if you want me to be 100% honest, but we haven't got that in a while. But so he's still there. But like he's like a good hand. Like he's kind of like that Weasley heel. Like I think he does his role well. But with Mensa, it's like okay. And then same with Jackson. Like once you break the group up, if they're not going to do a tag team division and you're going to push Lash at that point, or she's going to go on her own, then. Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. Like I said, people acted like they got rid of Bianca or like Becky or Charlotte. Oh my God, Jakara Jack! Like she's not that good.
Well, listen, I will say
my Jakara Jackson rant.
What would you say?
I said I'm done with my Jakara Jackson rant, but like I said, people acted like she was like a top star. Like I think there's like 15 women in NXT I can name that have more potential than she does.
No, you're right. Listen, on her own, you're absolutely right. But I will say, Metaphor, specifically them, Legend and Jackson, they had like a lot of fans. I mean, they were on the main roster a few times in the last 6 months, and I thought they looked good. They were honestly, and I fucking hated Metaphor early on, and I still don't give a fuck about the group or like Noam Dar, like I said. But I feel like Jackson and Legend, to their credit, really came into their own as a women's tag team. But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If the company does not give a fuck about this division and they think fans don't care and fans don't care in reality, whatever the case might be, then they're not going to keep them around as a team. I'm kind of surprised that they broke them up, to be honest with you. Because wasn't at one point we thought they were on the main roster? I mean, wasn't there that report like in November, like, oh yeah, they're a part of SmackDown now, and then they never showed up again? I know Legend was in the Women's Rumble, but not Jackson, so that probably should have been, the indicator of what was to come, of who was in the Rumble and who wasn't. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure Lash Legend was also in the United States tournament, too.
Oh, she was, yeah, on SmackDown. Jakara Jackson was not. So, again, I like them as a team. I would have liked to have seen them on the main roster as a team, but if they didn't have any tag teams for them to work with because they got rid of all the fucking tag teams, then the fact they got rid of Jakara Jackson and broke them up, it was weird when they broke up. But again, if they don't have plans for the division, they're going to get rid of her because they have a lot more women in the North American title scene between Jada Parker, Sol Ruka, Kalani Jordan. The list goes on. Last three names here, really not anyone notable for the most part. But Riley Osborne was a part of Chasing You. He hasn't been on TV in months. I think he was hurt. There was some discrepancy there he was tweeting about. Javier Bernal, he was a jobber in NXT. He was married, I think, to Tatum Paxley, I believe. And Danny Palmer was someone who appeared in NXT a few different times. Any thoughts on those releases, or just kind of unsurprising?
I mean, I don't even know the second guy you named. Danny Palmer, I feel like, has been there forever. And they've never used her, so it doesn't surprise me. And with Riley Osborne, same thing. I mean, I feel like I've barely, besides a backstage segment, I think I've maybe seen him wrestle once or twice. I mean, he kind of reminds me of Speedball Mike Bailey, kind of like a small flippy dippy guy.
Yeah.
So maybe he can go do some gymnastics at AEW, but I mean. When I saw the name, I just moved right on.
That's what Micah just said. If Riley Osborne will go kill it in AEW, I could see that. Him on AEW or Ring of Honor or whatever, I could totally see that. But of all the names, I'm not going to go through the list again, but does anyone stand out to you as being like, oh man, Tony Khan's got to sign this man, he's got to sign this girl? And I feel like he already has a deep enough roster, enough talent that they're not doing enough with even over there. I mean, probably not. Braun Strowman for sure ain't fucking going to AEW. Why the fuck? Like, what would even be the point?
There's no chance Braun's going there.
No, but like a Dakota Kai, I could see. The rest of them, I mean, Shayna maybe because Marina Shafir is there. Oh, get her in the in the Death Riders? No thanks. She would be a better fit for that than Marina Shafir, who has no personnel. It's like watching paint dry every time Marina Shafir's on the show. She's just fucking awful. But everyone else, I mean, I honestly can't really see most of these people going to AEW. Even a Cora Jade, I could see her going to like a TNA before she goes to AEW.
Yeah, besides, I probably say, like you said, Shayna. I feel like Shayna, they'll do something. They said there's the Marina connection.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe she can help the ops out. I don't fucking know.
The ops.
But, I mean, Dakota, I mean, the problem realistically is they have so many women and men already.
Yeah.
So just keep stockpiling more people. Like you said, then you get in like WWE territory that you're not using all these people. So like, focus on the people you have and whatever. Like, I don't know. With Dakota going there, it's like another like ex-WWE woman, like kind of damaged goods. I feel like she'd kind of be like Ruby Riott, like comes in, people would be like excited for a hot second, and then she'd be on ROH in 3 months. I mean, yeah. I would just focus on who they have. They have plenty of good talent as it is. Like clearly, I mean, the talent's there. They just don't really have like the stars, but like you have good talent, just focus on that and like make them stars or try to make them stars.
No, I agree. I think they have enough talent they're not doing enough with that they don't really need to bring, Dakota Kai is a must sign. I mean, it would be great to see her there, but are they going to do much with her? They signed Deonna Purrazzo, which I thought was a great hire, but she didn't really do much beyond that initial feud with Toni Storm. She's been in Ring of Honor fucking fading away into obscurity. So, I mean, if she's going to be on Ring of Honor, then there's really no I mean, honestly, it's definitely a step down from the main roster in WWE, not even being on fucking television. I mean, in Ring of Honor, you don't even have a TV deal, so who gives a shit? But I think there's so many other promotions beyond AEW, like there's, Ring of Honor is a part of AEW, but there's TNA, MLW, New Japan. Any one of these people can go any one of those places and do just fine. But we've also seen people kind of take a step away from wrestling. Cora Jade, I saw, Dillon and Micah say, she can make $1 million from OnlyFans and she may never need to work or wrestle again. She will wrestle again, but I'm just saying, like, someone like that, there are other avenues to take than just continuing to wrestle on the indies and shit like that. She made a name for herself in NXT. I think she'll be just fine.
No, yeah, I mean, I think she is, I feel like the difference between her and like Mandy Rose, I feel like she, at the end of the day, she is like, she grew up a wrestling fan and always wanted to be a wrestler. So I feel like she could like go the OnlyFans route. Obviously, I think she'd make a shit ton of money because there's a lot of horny wrestling fans.
True that.
Come on. Dillon's going to have his fucking credit card backed up when she launches that thing. But yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things, maybe she does that for a little bit, to rack in the money, and then she can focus back on wrestling. Like, so I feel like TNA, I mean, she was working with TNA before she got released anyway, so maybe go over there, maybe learn a new hold or two, and maybe WWE will give her another run. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she racked in that OnlyFans money for a little bit and then went to, like, TNA or somewhere else. So, like I said, learn a new hold or something.
Yeah. Last thing on this, Micah had mentioned, I just want to clear this up because I know Alexis and I were talking about this the other day as well. He had asked, why can't they just give them the option to transfer to TNA instead of just releasing them? That's not how it works. That's the issue. Like, there's contracts involved here. TNA people do not make remotely. I know you're probably...
They'd fucking bankrupt TNA if they did that.
WWE
would just buy them at that point.
Like, I mean, you're maybe talking about the NXT people, but you're going to offer Braun like an eighth of his salary to go to TNA and wrestle. Like, I love TNA. I think TNA is great, but like, who are we talking about here? Probably the NXT people. TNA, although they work with NXT, they do not operate under the same contract. There's a lot of, T's and that have to be crossed and stuff like that, I's and that I's that have to be dotted and whatever. Like, it doesn't work that way where they could just transfer them over. There's a lot of contract stuff that just would have to come up. But yeah, do you think Strowman's career is over? Do you think he'll continue to wrestle? I think he'll probably work the indies. He can make a lot of money doing the indies like he did the last time. For the occasional appearance.
Who's that, Braun?
Yeah, Braun Strowman, yeah.
You're talking about Braun?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe a couple indies, a couple fan fests. He'll be fine.
I think he'll be okay. So a lot of releases there. Mr. Marceau, do I have to let you go here, or do you want to stick around for a couple more minutes to talk Backlash?
I'm good to talk about Backlash.
All right, sounds good. So we got Backlash coming up on Saturday in St. Louis on May 10th. I always look forward to Backlash, and we have another pretty good card on tap for Saturday's show. And I can circle back around to the chat stuff a little bit later on if you guys have other stuff to say about the releases towards the end of the episode. But I do want to talk Backlash here with the limited time that we do have left with Mr. Marceau. A match just added on Monday's Raw was Dominic Mysterio and Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. They actually just did this match on Raw in the post-WrestleMania Raw, so I'm kind of surprised they're running it back. I think Dominic retains. I know he just won the belt, but it also does make me question, why would they do this match again unless Penta wins this time? Like, could Penta win the belt with an inadvertent assist from Finn Balor? And Liv's not around right now, so she can't really help kind of prevent that from happening. I don't know if Finn cost him the championship on purpose, but I'm going to go Dominic here, but I could see a scenario where Penta may walk away with the championship and they give Dominic a short run. What do you think happens here, Mr. Marceau?
I think Dominic retains. He just won the belt. He's super over heel. People cheer him. I don't know. I feel like he's super over regardless of what you want to categorize it as. I think it'd be kind of I think it's too soon to just take the belt right off him. Kind of had those goosebumps on Raw when Jay was facing Seth and he hit him with like everything besides the bazooka and Seth kicked out. I'm like, here we fucking go. Jay's gonna lose the belt already. I think similar to Dom, I just feel like it's too early. Like I said, they did just do the match, so I'm not really sure why they're running it back again. Dom won last time. Like you said, I guess you have a feeling that Penta might win, but I mean, I feel like you hold off Dom and Finn till SummerSlam. So I think Dom should win.
Okay, yeah, you could hold off on that match till SummerSlam if you wanted to. That would make sense. Real quickly, what were your thoughts on Jay and Seth from Raw? I thought that match was amazing for the World Heavyweight title. Like, great main event.
You can't see it, but I'm doing the chef's kiss. The match was probably Jay's best singles match I've ever. I'd probably say Jay's best single match so far. Besides probably the ones with Roman, obviously those ones are great. But I mean, I thought it was great. Crowd was lapping the shit up. I mean, obviously helps when they got like Heyman, who got a horrible tan, by the way. It looked awful. But you got him involved, obviously with Braun and the near fall, Sammy coming out. Punk coming out. I mean, I thought their back and forth were good. The two counts were great. The near falls. I thought it was great. I'm glad Jay kept the belt. Don't know why they didn't do the Logan Paul thing on TV. Like Triple H, like you always gotta be watching. Like I can't watch it if it's not on TV, you dickhead. Like they post the Logan Paul thing. He's like, that's why you stay tuned the whole show. I'm like, I couldn't see it anyways. It's going up there. Yeah. So I think they love doing like the whole like put it on Twitter. Like I do get that, but like someone like my dad who only watches the TV shows, like he would never see that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't even know that happened.
Nearsighted.
I didn't know that happened until Tuesday, so I kind of forgot it. I did not see that until well after the fact. But no, I thought that was, at least they're continuing that. But the main event was great. They did have me thinking there for a second Jay was going to lose. I mean, especially after he hit him with everything in the kitchen sink, everything in his arsenal, and
besides the bazooka, the spear, the splash. When he hit the spear splash too, I almost fell out of my bed.
Yeah,
I was like, "There's no fucking chance he's losing this." And then he hit him with a stomp. I'm like, "Dude, please no."
And that was after the Sami Zayn interference. I thought, "Oh fuck!" Like Sami Zayn got thwarted at ringside. I think this is it for the run. I think this might be, and there might be people. They might be putting the belt back on Rollins a lot sooner than I thought. And then Punk came out, no bell ring, so like I think they'll go back to this match down the road. But It was a great main event. They need more of that stuff more often. I think the crowd was really into it. Had me on the edge of my seat thinking, fuck, Jay might actually lose. And it's only been 2 weeks. I could totally see it. But no, that was great. Fatal 4-way for the United States Championship. Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre. We got a great 4-way at Mania for that IC title. I think this will also be very, very good. I'm liking the stacked U.S. title scene on SmackDown right now. That's not even including Solo Sikoa, who has been kind of lurking in the background and teasing tension with Jacob. Again, another one. Does Jacob's run end at a month, or does he retain here against 3 top talents?
I think he retains. I'd be stunned if he lost his belt already.
Yeah.
Even with Solo in the wings, I think he keep the belt on Jacob for now.
Yeah, I think so as well. Maria did mention just real quickly about what you were talking about with Jay and Seth, that Heyman cut one of his best promos on Raw. He fucking did. I feared for the man's life. I mean, he was going off. He was, as the kids say nowadays, crashing out on Jey Uso at the beginning of the show. That was amazing. But between the
that's
tan,
when you can tell how bad his tan was. He was going fucking bananas. But I'm like, his face looks like a burger that he left flipped on the wrong, on the one side too long, and then the back of his head was the other side, the raw part. It looked and Molly came in, she's like, does he not know he looks terrible? That tan looks horrific. I'm like, yeah, that's bad. But no, it was a great promo, but he almost gave himself a cardiac arrest.
Yeah, no, great promo. Almost went into cardiac arrest. Him and Braun Breaker got to lay off the fucking self tanner. It's ridiculous. Him and Braun Breaker both, they look just wild at this point. So that's a problem there for sure. No, Johnny, I do not want to see Braun Strowman versus Nick Gage in GCW. That sounds fucking terrible, but maybe it'll make money in GCW, so who knows. Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. I'm looking forward to this one. I know you are as well. I got to give props here. We talked about it last week. The last 2 segments involving these women, really the last 3, dating back to the Raw after Mania, have been great. And I thought Monday's Raw was good. Props to Lyra, man. She is getting more over. She's becoming more confident on the mic, and she's gotten the better of Becky 2 weeks in a row. But I think the win here goes to our favorite, Becky Balea, new champion being crowned here, new Women's Intercontinental Champion, provided with the asterisk that Lyra gets it back from Becky down the road, the same way that Becky was kind of NXT Women's Champion for 6 weeks. Hopefully we could see something similar here. Maybe a little bit longer than that with Becky as champ. But I do think the win goes to Becky. Been digging the feud. Looking forward to this match. What about you?
Great feud so far. I got Balea, obviously. She's not putting Lyra over. Come on. What do I look like? Definitely, I got Becky winning here. We call her Becky Balea at this point, but the fucking layup she's been handing Lyra to help get her over have been unreal heel work. She is laying up Lyra. Like you said, she might not be comfortable or wasn't comfortable. She's laying her up to get babyface reaction. She's fucking... These back and forths have been probably the best I've seen between a heel and babyface in a while. Becky's being a real heel, and she's just laying up Lyra for babyface reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Lyra's obviously hitting her cues and hitting the spots, but I think that's also helped Lyra a ton. Obviously, we said that the caveat is down the line she puts Lyra over again. I think she's really helped. The last 3 weeks has really helped Lyra's popularity in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think either lose this belt or lose a title match or something. It doesn't have to be this specific title because maybe they see Lyra in a different light, but maybe Becky puts her over in a title match, another title match. But yep. I think it's been great work. It's definitely helped Lyra get over. You can feel it and you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But Balea needs the belt. Becky Balea belt. Becky IC champ. It is what it is. Put the belt on Balea.
I agree. Shout out to Daniel for coming up with that great nickname. He also said Becky is setting up Lyra in a way that Charlotte did not for Tiffany. That's an interesting point. Do you agree with that?
I agree, but I also think that there is a personal life connection between Lyra and Becky because they're both Irish. Seems like they have a good friendship out of the ring, so I think she's laying her up. She said in her post-WrestleMania thing she sees her as the future.
Yeah.
I think that was from the heart and a real, genuine thought.
Yeah.
So I think she's, like you said, she will win the belt here, but I would be extremely, extremely surprised if she did not put her over going out or down the... She has to put her over. I would be...
Yeah.
I would be stunned if she didn't because I think there is a genuine connection. She's helping her get over as a babyface here, and I think down the line when she's maybe wrapping up her career, she'll put Lyra over to be like she said, she sees her as the future. I think she puts her over here eventually down the line. But she needs to win the belt.
Yeah, no, I agree. And not only that, but, Lyra is delivering. Like, it would be one thing if Becky was trying to put her over and she was doing everything in her power to put this woman over, but Lyra wasn't connecting or she wasn't delivering the goods or whatever. But she is. I mean, her promos have been really good. Into Alexis's point in the chat, Lyra is slaying on the mic right now. You love to see it, and this is exactly what the women's division needs. I completely agree. Do you think Bayley interferes? Fernando asked. Bayley interfering, costing Becky the match? I think it's too soon for that. You could do Becky and Bayley for the belt, but I don't think Bayley returns here to cost Becky. I feel like Lyra's win would not mean much if Becky just loses out of the gate for this women's IC title. She's got to win it on Saturday.
Yeah, I think Becky needs to win it here.
Yeah.
I think you can have her revenge, obviously face Bayley, but I think Becky should win clean here. Any kind of Bayley involvement, that's too soon for now.
Yeah, and Mike has said maybe Becky, Bayley, and Lyra at SummerSlam for the IC title, and SummerSlam because they're charging people $40,000 for tickets, which is crazy. Yeah, we talked about that before. The match I'm most looking forward to this weekend, Pat McAfee and Gunther. I mean, again, people poo-pooed on it, and I get it. People don't want to see Pat McAfee in the ring, but listen, we said here last week why we were in favor of this match. I put up the clip here on the channel about it. And then they went out on Monday this week, and we talked about the main event and how great that was. These two went out there on Raw this week and had a great fucking talking segment. This was excellent, dude. This got me hyped even more for the match than I already was. People underestimate Pat McAfee. He might go out there and have a terrible match. I mean, this is not the same Pat McAfee of 5 years ago against Adam Cole. But I have faith that Gunther can make this work as well. People love Pat. Gunther got great heat. That promo on Monday from both guys, not even just Gunther, not even just Pat, both guys had a great segment on Monday. Obviously, Gunther's got to win. Pat McAfee winning would be fucking awful, obviously. But I think this is great stuff, and I'm looking forward to the match. So Gunther wins LOL, right?
Gunther wins LOL. Pat gets a few shine spots, a few hope spots, but I would say Gunther's in control majority of the time. Maybe he's playing with his food a little too much. Pat, like I said, gets a couple shines or a couple hope spots, and then Gunther just puts him to sleep.
Yeah, squash, I agree, Fernando, but make it a glorified squash. It should not be over in 60 seconds. Probably, I would give it 5 to 10 minutes. 10 minutes might even be a little too much. But yeah, like you said, Gunther playing with his food a little bit too much. That's probably the route they should go with here. And then last but not least, or actually Daniel also said Gunther, I hope Gunther does Pat worse than he did Big Jim Uso in that beatdown a couple weeks ago. I don't wish ill on Pat at all, but Gunther's got to, give this guy a new one when he beats him up on Saturday. But anyway, last but not least, John Cena and Randy Orton for the Undisputed WWE Championship. What can you say about this one? The history speaks for itself. Cena retains, but how does he retain, Mr. Marceau? Is it by pinfall, or is it by the way that everyone's talking about? John Cena pulls an Orton from No Way Out 08 and gets himself intentionally DQ'd by hitting the ref, and that's how he go off the air, which would be fucking terrible, by the way. Just want to mention that out of the gate.
I just have a real bad feeling about this match. I don't know why. It's just I just don't want. I don't think the match is gonna be that good.
Okay.
And I think the finish is gonna be even worse. I don't know. After Mania and the whole Cena thing, I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling about this at all. I think Cena will retain the belt. I don't know if that means, like you said, getting disqualified. But I feel like it's going to be a solid show overall, and everyone's going to be talking about how bad the finish is. And yeah, I mean, I think Cena will have the belt leaving Backlash. I fear for the finish. Like I said, my stomach hurts right now just thinking about it. And we'll be talking about this next week about how bad the finish was and what are they doing. And
yeah.
The people say it's John Cena ruining wrestling, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to ruin wrestling. No, he's going to ruin the fucking show and make it unwatchable. I mean, come on. Let's not be dumb here and be like, oh, yeah, it's great storytelling. He said he was going to ruin storytelling, and or he was going to ruin, yeah, that too, but he was going to ruin wrestling, and that's why they're doing it. Bro, I don't want a fucking year of terrible pay-per-view finishes. That would be awful. And I said this on Twitter the other day, but if they're promoting this as one final time and then they run it back, it's Saturday night's main event 2 weeks later, I mean, what a fucking joke. No thanks. One and done is fine. I like the feud. I like the fact that we're even doing it. I'm glad we're getting it. I think nostalgia will sell people on the match, and the crowd will be hot for Orton, but I do worry about the finish. Do we see Travis Scott again, Mr. Marceau, work in St. Louis for Backlash? Or even do we see R-Truth get involved, who's been involved in the story recently on SmackDown?
I hope not, and Just like I said, I just have a feeling the finish is gonna be really bad, and that's all we're gonna talk about. Like I said, I get like the whole ruin, like you can do the ruin wrestling thing. It's like, hey, I'm beating all your favorites.
Yeah.
Like that's all you have to do. Like, hey, I beat Cody, I beat Orton, he beats Punk. Like he beats all the fans' favorites. Like okay, that like maybe beats Jey Uso. I highly doubt we get that far, but
Yeah.
like that's ruining wrestling. Like you're ruining the fans' experience because you're beating all their favorites. It's such a heel, like, haha, I beat all your favorites, now you hate wrestling because all your favorites aren't good and I beat them all.
Mm-hmm.
But like just shitty finishes, if that's what we're getting, like you said, like that's him ruining wrestling, just retaining with shitty finishes. No, thank you. We got a lot of bad finishes when Roman Reigns was champion. Obviously, people overlooked it, but like at least with Roman Reigns, like Cena at this point, I feel like he's very polarizing. His heel run's been terrible, and I don't think bad finishes is gonna help it. I think it's more like I'm not gonna watch than I hate you. Like I'm hopeful that it's like I said, I'm hopeful it's not like that, but my stomach's telling me it's gonna be a bad finish, and that's what we're gonna be. I'll be texting you Saturday night being what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I know, seriously. And don't forget the cartoonish promos on Raw and SmackDown that he's been cutting as well.
Oh my god. They're so bad.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
This guy's an
like
actor.
Said, it's not like
honestly.
bad like he's a heel. It's just bad. He was not a good actor to begin with. It's just they're just so cheesy, fake. It's like it's like what you think a heel like whiny. Like it's like I said, once he started doing the whiny promos, I've been out.
That this, that about that. I know that was your favorite. Johnny, this popped me in the chat. He said, last in a lifetime match at Saturday Night Main Event. Hey, like we can get it twice in a lifetime with The Rock, then we can get last in a lifetime with Orton and Cena at Saturday Night's Main Event. Hey, no thanks. Just end it on Saturday. We don't need to go on from this with a fucking DQ to close the show. People are like, oh yeah, it was brilliant storytelling to do it in 08. No, the finish sucked in 08, and it would be even worse now because that did not close the show back then. It would be closing the show now. No fucking thanks. That would be awful. But anyway, Mr. Marceau, we'll talk about that awful finish to Cena Orton. Hopefully not, but I am preparing for the worst as well, like you said. We'll talk about it here on the show next Thursday here on WrestleRant Radio. So appreciate everyone in the chat. We get a lot of people talking about Backlash and everything else. It's been great chatting with you, Mr. Marceau, per usual. New episodes every single Thursday, WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com. Be sure to sign up for a channel membership. Shout out to the channel members, by the way, Alexis, Miss Bond Matthews, Dillon DiGiacomo, who we saw here in the chat earlier, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve 1, Daniel Malcolm, also in the chat. RJ Marceau, of course, at RJ_Marceau on the Twitter machine. Follow him there. John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland on YouTube. Richie is Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube. And Average Grunt, at The Average Grunt on the Twitter machine as well. I think that's about it. Be sure to like the video on the way out and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell button to be notified every single time new content goes up and every single time we're live here on the channel. Mr. Marceau, brother, this has been a blast. Have an awesome rest of your week, brother. I'll be sure to catch up with you next week.
I'll talk to you.
See you, pal. All right, folks, have an awesome one, and we'll catch you right back here on WrestleRant Radio next week. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Graham GSM Matthews from Mr. Marceau. Have an awesome one, and we'll catch you. Take care, folks. Peace.
Join Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau every Thursday as they run down their weekly wrestling rants, offer expert analysis, host exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe today on all your favorite podcast platforms and never miss an episode of WrestleRant Radio.